Hey, good morning, everybody. And we are back again. It is Thursday morning, and this is Thursday Morning Live. Boy, am I glad to see you this morning. Hey, it's interesting, right? Yesterday was the end of the first month already in the new year. End of January. Here we are, February 1st. And, it's a bright new day, right? What have you been being intentional about? And I want to always talk about intentionality, right? I don't think that we get anything accomplished or do anything unless we are being solely intentional about it. We get up, we have plans, we have goals, we have dreams, but are you being intentional about accomplishing those? I just want to real quick, just the last few days, I've been at the National Multifamily Housing Conference um, in San Diego. And I have to tell you that, it brings a whole new aspect to networking when you are intentional about meetings and intentional about meeting people. I spent a couple of weeks regularly reaching out to people to connect with them, to set up meetings that were intentional about finding new markets to work in, finding new brokers to work with, finding new deals to have good deal flow for multifamily, for building that side of our business. But the point around that was the networking, the back-to-back meetings that I had for the last 3 days, and getting to know people. There were 8,000 people at this event, and no matter how hard you try, you're not going to have the time to meet everybody. But when you're networking and you're intentional about it, the quality of the relationships you can build is so much more. Hey, welcome this morning. If you're new to the show, I'm glad that you're here. We're here every Thursday morning at 8:30 Central Time. I would love for you to go, if you're on YouTube, and subscribe so that you get this every week. You find some other good content that may help you. And if you're on Facebook, that you would subscribe to our Facebook group, Multifamily Unplugged. And if you're on social media, just like us, love us, help us with that algorithm a little bit. Talking about intentionality, my guest this morning, Geff Grant. Geff is from West Palm Beach, Florida. He is with Grant Law, and I'll tell you, this is a gentleman that is very intentional about what he does. Geff and I have built a relationship over the last few years through getting to know each other because of some past life history. And we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning, but we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and being able to serve and follow your purpose in life. Let me bring Geff in. Hey, Geff, good morning.
Hi, Mike. Good morning. So good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be seen, that's for sure. You know how that is sometimes. So, hey, I just, I don't know if you know this or not, but I just moved over the last 10 days from Chicago to Huntington Beach. And,
Mm.
what a change in weather. And I know, a couple years ago, you kind of did the same thing. You moved from New York down to West Palm, and, it's a little bit different lifestyle, isn't it?
It's one of the greatest decisions we ever made, and what a gift that 20 years after I got into my problems, that life has presented us with the opportunity to live our dream and live in paradise. So really wonderful, just wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I don't know. I hear that it's a little chilly down there though these days.
It's been so cold. I think I do, Mike. I can't tell you how cold I am.
Yeah, my sister is heading down for vacation next week, and she's been watching the weather, saying, "God, that she has to bring jeans and sweatshirts." Oh well.
Only at night. It is absolutely beautiful out during the day.
Yeah, nice. Hey, as always, as I get started, I always ask the one question, which is, in one word, Geff, what describes you personally and professionally?
What a great question. I would say the one word is trust.
Hmm.
and that doesn't come lightly because I was prosecuted for a crime of trust, um, or let's say 18 years ago, and I understand. I did some things that were untrustworthy, but I've spent the last 18 years rebuilding my character and having a faith journey and getting my law license reinstated by the bar in New York, and I have an office in New York. And what I found was that people who have criminal justice issues, especially white collar criminal justice issues, they don't have people to trust. And where trust starts is in trust in myself.
Well,
So now that I feel trustworthy, I'm able to trust other people and engender the kind of trust that hopefully that they trust me.
that's pretty awesome. Um, you've said some things here rather than trying to unpack a little bit of that. Let's go back. Let's talk about your history a little bit. Why don't you tell us who you are, where you've been, what you've done, what you're doing today?
Sure, I was a lawyer in New York City and then in the suburbs of New York, and I developed a prescription drug habit after a sports injury, and I was hooked on prescription opioids, and it just kind of led my fall down over the next 10 years to where I was doing some illegal things. I got caught. I got disbarred. I wound up trying to kill myself with a overdose of prescriptions. Came out of that into recovery. I made on an SBA loan application. Went to prison for that for 14 months. Came out, um, applied to seminary, and I did that full time for 3 years, and I became a ordained minister with a Master of Divinity. And soon after that, after working at some churches in the inner city and all of that, my wife and I founded the White Collar Support Group in Progressive Prison Ministries, the first support group in the country to support people prosecuted for white collar crimes and their families. And we've been doing that now for 8 years.
Yeah, you
And
have your 400th episode coming up, right?
our 400th meeting is on Monday night, February 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And what a gift just to be involved. 50 people who have joined in, and many more than that have been attracted to the ministry. So I've been involved in over 1,000 people's lives who've had white collar criminal justice journeys. And they've learned from me. I've learned from them. Just this beautiful kind of relationship. But as you know, 3 years ago, the New York State Supreme Court reinstated my law license. And that's what I've been doing half time now, is practicing law and hopefully, engendering the trust that people can reach out and really get their legal issues addressed by someone who not only has 35 years of skill set, but also has walked in the shoes that they're walking.
Well, and you said early on before we started this morning about serving your purpose.
Mm.
And it sounds like you're serving your purpose, but for you in the big picture, what does that mean for you?
What it means is that bringing light and love to a underrepresented and a very misunderstood population. People think of white collar crime and they think of Bernie Madoff or some of the big names, big splashy headlines. But you and I both know that 98% of people who are prosecuted for white collar crimes are just kind of ordinary people who've gotten themselves into messes because of either pathological or environmental reasons. And they're people down the street who are the parents of the kids that your kids play with. They're doctors and lawyers and stockbrokers, and they just made some mistakes. And I'm not I'm not telling people not to take responsibility for their action, but the penalty is so out of proportion to what the behavior is. And so if we can provide some guidance and some leadership, both on the ministry side, providing emotional and spiritual support, and hopefully on the legal side, where people, this is a labyrinth of crazy stuff. And there's prosecutors and criminal defense lawyers and everyone just trying to rip them to shreds. And what do? And hopefully what I can do is, be a buffer and a translator for all of this stuff to help people go through it in a more gentle, sober, and professional way.
One thing I've learned over the years is it's really important to surround yourself with like-minded people, people that help, can help you on your journey.
Yeah.
And doing what you're doing, I know that the White Collar Support Group helps people, whether before they're going into prison or when they come out. It's a place that people can go and find others that have experienced or are experiencing that journey, which can be pretty tenuous at times and kind of hard, we know. um, how do people find this group if they have an interest in clicking in?
Well, they can certainly go to our website. The ministry and the White Collar Support Group website is prisonist.org. That's prisonist like feminist, prisonist. Or if they want to get in touch with me at the law firm, it's grantlaw.com. But mostly people find us either word of mouth, because we're probably 1 degree of separation from everyone in the country who's going through a white collar, or through there's been a lot of magazine articles and podcasts and TV segments about us. But I would really divide our business arc into before the New Yorker article that came out about us a couple of years ago, and after the New Yorker article, because there was a multi-page article in the mag and online, and the New Yorker is probably the most respected nonfiction periodical in the country, and they ran a very thorough article about us, and we're just known because of that almost everywhere. And so all kinds of opportunities have come to us because of that article. But certainly as a pass along or as a pass through, that means we've been able to grow an expanded community and opportunities to people that they wouldn't have otherwise had. And sometimes that's jobs and careers and just breaking down the barriers of social stigma and business stigma to help people help people's journeys just be more helpful and hopeful.
Yeah. So let's talk about entrepreneurship a little bit. Let's talk about what it's like for somebody who either just worked a job or had a business, and that time they spend it incarcerated. And we know that in this country, we are over incarcerated, right? It's quite a business.
Definitely.
And what it's like though when you come home, because obviously you have done a lot to rebuild your life over the last several years and to regain your footing. But what's that like for the average person who gets in trouble? Because I think we've both seen people who have come home and stayed under a rock and not come out because of fear, because of shame. But then there's the ones that have reemerged in the marketplace and in
Yes.
life, and carry a message like you and I do, that hey, let's not let our hope or our past define our future. Talk about that journey for yourself, and what you've discovered in with your participants in your white collar group.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Mike. I think I want to address it mostly as a poster boy, as hopefully a power of example for other people that you can get through this. I mean, every is involved in the criminal justice system for white collar crime, everybody comes home. And so it's not a life sentence for most, even though some of the financial features might be a life sentence, restitution and forfeiture and things like that. But you come home, and then it's one of those things where, there's really nothing to fear except fear itself. The shame, and there's remorse, and a lot of trauma, and people can be bound up by that trauma for a long time. I was. But I just kept moving forward. It's just maybe a gene in me that just kept moving forward from re-educating myself and revalidating myself and requalifying myself. And I got to the point where I was ministering, and I started a support group. And so here's kind of the entrepreneurial thing. I in 2018 application in to get my law license reinstated, and that was a gauntlet that I was going to have to run for 3 years. I had no idea if it was going to work. And so I was operating at that point on plan A and plan B. And I'd seen so many people through the years, because I'd been general counsel to many companies in my prior iteration. And what happens is, once they land their financing, or they land some kind of an event happening, a liquidity event or something, they kind of take their foot off the gas in terms of other things that they're doing, because they really want this deal to close. And I've seen so many companies and people fail because they put too much faith in that one event, and they stopped working the fundamentals of the business that was making them successful. So I knew that, and we had a successful ministry, and not only from a financial standpoint in terms of being self-sustaining, but also in terms of the work we were doing. But here I was, maybe going to get my law license back. And so I had to kind of play A and B, as to plan A is to get the law license back, but if not, then plan B. But I already knew from all this experience that if I was going to get my law license back, there was a hole in the market, because there were criminal lawyers, certainly, and a lot of good ones, and like anything else in the world, some not so good ones. And I had access and information about a lot of them, having worked with 1,000 people at that point. But what there wasn't were lawyers that were specializing in all the ancillary legal issues that were going around someone who had criminal justice issues, bankruptcies, divorces, real estate. You can think of, if someone has a business person has a white collar justice issue, then you know that they have swirling business and family and legal issues all around them, and nobody was addressing it. And it's not that they didn't understand it, because some of the large firms, the criminal defense lawyers at these law firms, have certainly gone to their management committees and said, listen, we have these people with all these problems. I don't know about them. I'm a criminal lawyer. I don't really know how to deal with all of this stuff. But while we have them in-house, we should really be servicing them. And almost without exception, what the criminal lawyers came back to me and said is that the management committees nixed that idea because there was no money in it. Because the people were spending all their money on their criminal defense. So why should we invest in these services if they can't pay for them? We're already getting all their money. And because you know how that works. Like, if you want to ask a criminal lawyer how much it's going to cost for my criminal defense, I mean, the correct answer is all. That means they're going to take all your money. Anything that the government doesn't take, they're pretty much going to take all your money. I don't mean that to be an indictment of an entire industry. I'm a leader in the American Bar Association criminal justice section, but I can tell you that the last thing in the world that anyone going through a white collar criminal justice issue should be doing is abdicating authority and responsibility for the decision making to anybody, including their criminal defense attorney. And to understand the budget, because you need forensic experts, you need accountants, you need because you need this whole plethora of people and services, and also other things going on, taxes. You need money for restitution. And there's got to be a budget, but nobody is helping them with that budget. Nobody was helping them actually get from point A to point B. So I knew there was a hole in the market. I knew that that person needed to exist, and it had to be someone who would engender trust and confidence. Now, who better to have trust and confidence than someone with 35 years of experience and who had been through it themselves? So if I was going to get my law license back, that was throwing the dart into the middle of the dartboard. That's where the fleshy part was. Go for it. And I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get my law license back. And I hung my shingle out. It took me about 6 months to ramp up and figure it all out. February 1st of 2022, I officially launched Grant Law in Manhattan. And Mike, it's been the greatest experience of my life, because no matter who calls, whether they can pay me as a lawyer or it's on the pro bono side or on the ministry side, I have an hour of time for anybody who calls, irrespective of whether they can pay me. And 98% of the people who call me are going to get something for free, or they're going to be referred over to the ministry or to other resources, because I decided to not scale up. It's me. I'm wearing my value on my back. And how many people can I represent at a time? Personally, I'm 10. So I'm very careful about the people that I represent. And basically, they're people who want to go through some form of transformative experience.
Yeah.
And decide they want to become better people, better citizens, better parents, and that doesn't mean not make a lot of money again. If you want to make a lot of money in multifamily real estate, go see Mike Morawski. If you want to be led through some of those either spiritual or emotional or legal issues that we all have, give me a call.
Yeah. Nice. Geff, I think it's just so great to give back after, we've had these experiences, because there's no doubt you could be shut down to the world and shut down to others and be angry. And, I think God works in funny ways sometimes. And this is just one of those parts of that plan that, people say, wow, I just can't believe what's happened to you, the transformation, and I see it in others too. And I think it's a matter, I think it's because of an example that you set for those people that are going through that time, because it's not easy. So,
the greatest gift of my life is on Monday nights when there's 40 people on the screen, on a Zoom screen. And we haven't really met each other in person. I have people who I've had 10-year relationships with who I've never met in person, but we're bonded. We're bonded by our brokenness, but we're bonded by our dedication to one another and to the community. And the smallest part of what we do is on that 75-minute call on Monday night, because all week long we're providing comfort to one another and experience to one another, and guiding each other through in phone calls and in Zoom calls, and it's immersive, and it's not one way, because I'm a person. I have emotional needs. It's 20 years since my problems started. And I can tell you, there are mornings when I don't want to get out of bed, and it just comes out of nowhere. It's not, it's just part of the trauma of having gone through all of this. And so what do? I have hundreds of people who've been in the support group who I can pick up the phone and say, man, I'm not doing so well today. And it doesn't make a difference. I'm a lawyer or whatever. I'm a person. And just to be able to relate to that, and people, yeah, I know what you mean. I was having that the other day, and wow, how uplifting just to be heard and seen and to be a witness to other people's and their emergence as people again.
Yeah, no doubt. This is about second chances, and I think in life that we all need a second chance,
Yeah.
and because things don't always go smoothly for everybody. But hey, I appreciate you being here this morning.
Uh,
Um, what?
such, such a gift, Mike. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Hey, how do you want people to reach out to you, Geoff?
I would say the easiest way is just go to the websites, either prisonist.org or grantlaw.com. And all the contact information is there on both of them. Not only that, there's a lot of information that's going to be helpful right away, and links and all kinds of articles and stories and interviews and things like that. But my phone number in Manhattan is 212-859-3512. And my email is, and I get back to everybody within a few hours, and because we need it, we deserve it, I've been in your shoes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I can testify that you do get back to everybody in a few hours because that's how we connected. And I don't even
Absolutely.
I was trying to think back. Boy, we've known each other a few years now, but
Yeah.
I don't know how we originally connected. I can't remember. And but I think somebody probably connected us, and I'm grateful for that. So, Geoff, it's been great this morning. I'm going to move you to the back room, say goodbye, and if you hang out with me for a minute, that'd be great.
Thank you, Mike. Beautiful.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. You know what? A show about second chances, right? Different opportunities. Take a new chance, take a new risk. Uh, One thing that I believe Geoff is conveying and that I always try to convey is don't let your past define your future. I think so many times that whether you're in a prison behind a wall or a prison in your mind, you can get out and you can make a difference in your life. And I think that there's so many people that are trapped in this place of fear and anxiety and not being able to move forward. And you know what? Get surround yourself with some people that can support you and that can help you grow through that and to move forward. And Jeff's group, the White Collar Support Group, could be one of those places for you if you're in that situation or you need some of that kind of guidance through life at this point where you are. Hey, thanks for being here this morning. We're here every Thursday. We're not always about business, but we can be a little bit controversial. So make sure that you subscribe so that you are notified and you're back. I want to wish everybody a great week.